to order, please. It's 7:30. Could I ask everyone to take their seats? Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome the Mayor, all members, and all our guests to the Old Town Hall, Stratford, for the Budget Council meeting. I would like to welcome the members of the public and press who are physically attending or watching on YouTube. The meeting is being filmed for broadcast on YouTube. Please note that cameras are focused on everyone within the meeting. I would like to also take this opportunity to remind the public that to enable the Council to conduct its business, if there are interruptions at today's meeting, I will ask the individual or individuals to stop and give a warning. If this continues, I will give a second and final warning, and should the disruption continue, I will ask security to remove the person or group from the Council chamber and will adjourn the meeting. Members of Council, please can I ask that you indicate when you wish to speak by raising your hand. I would like to advise members that in order to comply with the allocated time for speakers, if you go beyond your allocated time, you will be automatically muted. Please can I ask members and officers to introduce themselves when they are speaking. I would also like to ask that everyone turns their mobile phones to silent. The member attendance book will be circulated to you during the meeting, so please ensure that you sign. We are not expecting a fire drill this evening, so if the alarm sounds, please remain calm and follow the instructions of the Town Hall staff. The fire assembly point is accessed via West Ham Lane. Right, I'm going to move on to item 1, apologies for absences. Yeah. Yes. What's your point of order, Councillor Gray?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Councillor John Gray, West Ham Ward. My point of order is advice from the Chair, please, on whether or not it is legal for councillors who are in arrears in council tax to be present at this meeting, or if it's not illegal, is it inappropriate? Thank you.
Yeah, I will pass on to...
If I may, Chair, members are reminded that in accordance with Section 106 of the Local Government Finance Act 1992, which was reflected in Council Procedure Rule 20.9, where any payment of council tax that is payable by a member has been outstanding for 2 months or more at the time of this meeting, the member must disclose the facts of their arrears, though they are not required to declare the amount, and cannot vote on the budget and council tax setting decisions in the report. We are taking recorded votes, and this is slightly premature, Councillor, because the Chair will come on to item 2 of declarations of interest.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Jenny. I'm now moving to item 1, which is apologies for absence. I've received apologies for absence for this evening's meeting from Councillors Rita Chadha, Councillor Mariam Dawood, Councillor Joshua Garfield, Councillor Stephanie Garfield, Councillor Dina Hussain, Councillor Jemima McColmond, Councillor Terry Paul, Councillor Tony Wilson, Councillor Imam Haq. Are there any other apologies for absence from councillors to be recorded? Councillor Kamali.
So I've got Councillor Harvinder, Salim Patel, Mujib Rahman, Muzawar Alam, and Carlin Lee Parkway. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. I'm now moving to item 2, which is the declarations of interest, and I will defer to the interim monitoring officer to offer advice on declarations for this meeting. So, Jenny, if you want to repeat.
Chair, thank you, Chair. I will repeat the advice that I've just provided, members are reminded that in accordance with Section 106 of the Local Government Finance Act 1992, which is reflected in the Council Procedure Rule 20.9, where any payment of council tax that is payable by a member has been outstanding for 2 months or more at the time of this meeting, the member must disclose the fact of their arrears, though they are not required to declare the amount, and cannot vote on any of the budget and council tax setting decisions in the report. Please also note that a recorded vote will be taken when determining the budget item. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, JD. So are there any members wishing to declare any disclosable pecuniary interest or any other interest that they may have in any matter which is to be considered at this meeting? Councillor Keeling.
Councillor Danny Keeling, Stratford Olympic Park. Under Constitutional 20.9, I should not be called for a recorded vote under council tax procedures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other declarations of interest? No, thank you very much. I'm now moving to item 3, which is the minutes of our last meeting. So first, I'm going to move the minutes of the meeting of the Extraordinary Council that was held on 8th of December 2025. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kamali. All those in favour, could you please raise your hands? All those against? Any abstention? The minutes are agreed. I'm now going to move to the minutes of the meeting of the Ordinary Council that was held on 8th of December 2025. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kamali. All those in favour, could you please raise your hands? All those against? Any abstentions? The minutes are also agreed. I am now moving to item 4, which is announcements by the Chair. So I would like to make a few announcements over here. During this month, Newham has celebrated LGBTQ History Month, where the theme for 2026 was Science and Innovation. The program concludes on Saturday, 28th of February, with an engaging talk organized by Forestgate Pride about Alan Turing, the mathematician, wartime codebreaker, and one of the founding figures of modern computing and artificial intelligence. I would also like to take a moment to remind everyone about holy days and observances. As Chair, I would like to send my best wishes to those members of the communities observing Ramadan, which began on 18th February, the start of the most significant month for Muslims, marking a period of daily fasting, prayer, and reflection. And I wish you and your loved ones a blessed and peaceful month filled with joy and good deeds. Christians have also been observing Lent from 18th February 2026. Lent marks a 40-day period of fasting, prayer, charitable action, and self-reflection in preparation for Easter. We also send our best wishes to members of our community who this month and next have and will be celebrating and observing their holy days, which also includes the Lunar New Year. I also just wanted to very quickly mention a few of the events that I have been attending since the last council meeting. I attended the Holocaust Memorial Day observance over here in council. I went to the London Government annual dinner. I also attended the London Tamil Sangha meeting, and I was very pleased to also open a jewellery store, Joy Lucas, in Green Street. I will now move to item 5, announcements by the Mayor Roxana Fiaz. I invite Mayor Roxana Fiaz to address the council and make any announcements. And Mayor, you have up to 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good evening, councillors, officers, guests, and most importantly, members of Newham, our community, reflecting the diversity, the vast array of people, residents that we serve. Ahead of tonight's debates this evening, where we'll be determining the council's 2026-27 budget, I wanted to say a few words. No doubt, some of these words may be mentioned later, and certainly these words will evoke much debate and passion. Colleagues, we're here tonight not to merely note numbers across a ledger or words in a report. We are here to make a fundamental choice about the soul of our borough and its future. Growing up here in Newham, I learnt a truth that has guided my entire morality. Progress is never a gift. It is something that we fight for, something we organise for, and something we achieve only when leadership has the courage to stand firm for its people. The budget that's going to be presented tonight by Councillor Zulfikar Ali is written in the language of Labour values, my Labour values, majority Labour group values, values of fairness, social justice, and our collective responsibility to one another. This budget that you'll hear about this evening is a turning point. It's about financial resilience and sustainability, and we'll be presenting a fully balanced, sustainable budget for the next financial year, delivered without any need for exceptional financial support. And let's be clear about what that means. It means that through rigorous discipline and a transformation of our services, we have broken a cycle of crisis facing so many other local authorities. We're going to be rebuilding, or have rebuilt, our general fund balance to 10%, not just to satisfy auditors, but to build a three-line defence for our people. This stability, this financial stability, is our shield. It is what will allow us to protect the services that you rely on while keeping our council tax amongst the lowest in London. And we're going to be honest tonight about the journey that has brought us here. And that honesty is also going to be covering 14 years where we have been forced to navigate the wreckage of Conservative austerity, a lost decade that saw our funding here in Newham for our people slashed while the needs of our communities soared. We refused to be silent, and this administration, since 2018, has led a relentless evidence-based campaign for fairer funding. We proved that Newham had been systematically ignored. Our victory in securing a funding formula that finally recognises our deprivation and our growth in need is a hard-won win for every resident. Had we have received this fair funding since way back 14 years ago, take yourself back to 2016, Newham would have had an additional £387 million to invest in our people and in our communities. That is the scale of the challenge we had to overcome. And this evening, because of this Labour administration and because of a Labour government that listened, we are no longer in that state. We are investing in a future of hope. Our promises kept. Our promises kept to protecting the heart of Newham, our people. Behind every line of this budget that you'll hear about tonight is a human story. It's a family in temporary accommodation who needs the dignity of a permanent front door and a home. It's the vulnerable adult who deserves to live with independence and care. It's a child in our school who deserves the outstanding support and care our children's services can provide. And let me be crystal clear on our libraries, and you will hear more about that tonight. There is no closure programme. Our libraries are beating hearts of our neighbourhoods. On our environment, we have listened to our people. We're investing in cleaner streets, better recycling, and a guarantee of at least 5 waste collections per fortnight. Because the quality of the air that you breathe and the cleanliness of the streets you live in is a matter of social justice for us. And what this budget tonight represents is building a fairer Newham in action and in practice. And we're not in this position by accident. We took the difficult decisions early. We chose responsibility over rhetoric. This is a responsible Labour budget. It proves that compassion and financial discipline are not enemies, they are partners. Stability and sustainability is the foundation of security. We are building a Ferenum where every child gets the best start, every family feels supported, and growth benefits all of our residents and our communities. Our community comes first, tonight and every night, as has been my mission and the mission of my administration and this council every day, every night, every week, every month, and every year over these past 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We now move to item 6, updates from Cabinet members. Any member of the Cabinet who wishes to update Council will be allowed to speak. There shall be no debate or questions allowed. Each member of Cabinet will be given up to 3 minutes. I have been told Councillor Sarah Ruiz.
Thank you, Chair. Well, yes, okay. This is the first opportunity that I have had to announce and formally recognise the achievement of children's services being rated outstanding in all areas of inspection with outstanding overall. Thank you. This has been a long journey, requires improvements in 2018 when I became Cabinet Lead, in 2019 inadequate, 2021 good, and now in 2026 outstanding. But throughout this, our administration has shown our commitment to our children and young people, not always recognised or supported. There is still much to do. We can never, ever be complacent. And we still have known areas of risk, our SEND transport and our placements. But by targeting our services to those most in need and strengthening our early help, we will ensure that we continue to support our most vulnerable children and families. So a huge thank you to all the staff in Children's Services, to my comrades in Cabinet, and to colleagues in scrutiny. I leave the service in a really good place and a legacy that this administration can be justly proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Charlene McLean.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to take this opportunity to give a Cabinet update on libraries. So I've said this several times already in various forums. I would like to reaffirm here today that no libraries are closing and there will be no changes in either opening hours or staffing levels. This administration truly values libraries and recognises their importance for our communities. Both Green Street and Plaistow libraries will be moving to new premises later this year, allowing for a fresher environment and more space for community use as the current libraries are bursting at the seams with activity. While books and other reading, learning and information materials remain central to Newham's statutory library service, the service plays a much broader part in the lives of the people who live, work and study in the borough. Our award-winning library service offers a range of universal and preventative services that support residents, and I'm delighted to announce that we were recently accepted into the inaugural cohort of libraries participating in the new Libraries Development Framework administered by Arts Council England. Our submission received the highest rating of Met Strong, and I quote, "This is an impressive submission. Particular strengths of the service are the use of data to drive service delivery, the range of partnerships both internally within the council and externally, and the extent to which the service is integrated and advocated for at all levels within the executive and politically. It's also positive to see the development of commercial services internally and externally, and services to other local authority library services. And I've picked up the wrong bit of paper. I am immensely proud of our library service and all those who work within it, and we are innovators in our field. For the second year in a row, we are a regional and country finalist for Library of the Year at the British Book Awards. I could spend all evening reeling off the achievements, like our digital inclusion team's recent Library Connected Information and Digital Award, and I quote, "The Noom team have developed a range of services for residents experiencing digital exclusion by listening to and responding to their needs. Over the last year, this has gone from strength to strength and has included establishing a digital champions network with frontline team members, creating volunteering opportunities, upskilling frontline colleagues in digital skills training, developing and embedding STEAM activity into the annual calendar of events, ensuring access to devices and data, setting up a device refurbishment scheme, and working with the voluntary and community sector to increase reach. In short, libraries are more than books and are clearly valued by all. And although I won't be a councillor at the time of the opening of our spanking new libraries or the launch of the future library strategy, I will continue to cheerlead from the sidelines as a new resident and avid library user. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McLean. Councillor John Whitworth.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to say that maintaining clean streets in Newham is an absolute priority for this council. Evidence of this can be seen in the budget, which required no savings from this service, and growth funding was awarded to provide a number of extra resources. To maintain and fully fund 6 tidy teams, 5 of which were introduced to provide extra support to the street scene service, and 1 to help the environmental crime team tackle fly tipping hotspots. These tidy teams speed up the removal of litter and fly tips. To provide 2 additional public realm operatives to service the streets in the area which the London Legacy Development Corporation has retroceded to Newham. To provide 3 full-time equivalent posts to support behaviour change campaigns, to improve the recycling of packaging waste and reduce fly tipping, to introduce a recycling collection for all the flats above shops by providing recycling bags and coloured rubbish bags with an information campaign to ensure it runs smoothly, to allocate neighbourhood community infrastructure levy funds to provide extra staffing, which will boost the speed and efficiency of the public realm services and establish a platform for sustained progress, to cover the funding for the implementation of the separate food waste collection phases 2 and 3. You'll be aware that phase 1 was introduced for about 1/10 of the borough's population last November, and it has proved popular with the residents and with successful take-up. The budget will enable street-facing properties to receive this service from next October and all remaining properties from March 2027. This budget also provides for a move to a fortnightly general waste collection in October for the 60% of the borough's homes that are street-facing properties, though this will not apply to blocks of flats or flats above shops. The fortnightly collection will be introduced at the same time as the food waste collection for both the convenience of the residents, who will have to adapt to just one change of routine, and for the operation of the service, which will be able to run an integrated information campaign to prepare residents for the change and reallocate crews to deliver it. With the removal of perishable food waste every week, the weekly removal of the residual waste will be unnecessary, and residents will then have a total of 5 waste collections in any fortnight instead of the current 4.
Councillor Whitworth, your time's up.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Amar Virdi.
Thank you, Chair. For too many families in Newham, finding a secure home is a daily struggle. Rising rents, a shortage of social housing, and limited affordable options leaves families confined in overcrowded, temporary, and unsuitable accommodation. With one of the youngest and fastest growing populations in the country, we understand how deeply this has affected our residents of Newham. Since 2018, and under this Labour-led council, we've been campaigning for early support, providing tenancy advice, mediation, direct engagement with landlords, and preventing families ending up homeless. For residents currently in the housing waiting list, we've been transparent to ensure that we spread the message that demand outstrips supply across London. Where there is options for relocating out of London, and where there's availability with greater time to provide clear advice and practical support, we are providing this guidance. There's been families that have been given the option to have greater stability, access to employment and education, and faster routes into settled accommodation. To help support the residents of Newham, reshaping our services have been pivotal and a clear demonstration of political and council agility. We're been strengthening our prevention teams. We are providing tailored advice and at the first point of contact, ensuring that budgeted advice and reducing the rate of eviction is fundamental. Unnecessary temporary accommodation and placements places a great burden on families in Newham. By acting early, we will be helping residents to stay in their homes and ensuring a more stable life. Since 2018, we have campaigned for the rightfulness and greater support for tenant rights. The introduction of the Renters' Right Act, which has been introduced by the Labour government, will strengthen tenant protections, giving families the well-deserved security and peace of mind they deserve. Under this Labour administration, we have utilised the benefit of innovation and technology, which has now been nationally recognised to help hundreds of families move into secure accommodation. Housing programmes are now merged to integrate and support health, employment and well-being for our residents. We have delivered over £90 million in savings and one of the strongest mitigations and strategies across London. Even with the ongoing pressures across the country, our priorities remain clear: to deliver more permanent homes so families can settle in Newham, expanding early support services to prevent crises and work closely with landlords to widen housing options and strengthen long-term security. National Labour policies, like the Renters' Right Act, will give families the confidence to plan for their futures. And under this administration, we are determined to help more residents into permanent homes, ensuring every Newham family has a chance to thrive. This budget does not just respond to the housing pressures. We are building a borough where children can grow up in safe homes, parents can plan with confidence, and can enjoy sustainability, overcoming the challenges of this broken housing market. Thank you, Council.
Thank you much, Councillor Virdi. I'm now moving to item 7, announcement by the Interim Chief Executive. So I call on you, Paul Martin.
Thank you very much, Chair. Since the last council meeting and towards the end of last year, the council was contacted by the Commissioner in Croydon Council to ask whether it would be possible for the council's Corporate Director of Resources, Conrad Hall, to be seconded to Croydon Council to hold a similar post there on secondment. And we agreed to that approach, and Conrad has been seconded to Croydon Council in that capacity since the beginning of January, and his position has been taken during the period of his absence, which is expected to be most of this year, while he supports Croydon Council in its financial recovery. His position has been taken by Maria Christofi, and there is a report for members to note that appointment later on during this evening's meeting. And if I may, Chair, while I'm speaking, we also have made a second senior appointment on a permanent basis to the post of Corporate Director of Adults and Health. The post holder is Fiona Connolly. I'm pleased to say Fiona's here with us this evening. Fiona joins us from Lambeth Council, where she's been holding a similar post for a number of years, and I'm sure all members will welcome Fiona to Newham Council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I am now moving to item 8, Members' Allowance Scheme 2026-2027, as outlined on page 33 of your agenda. So as chair, I will be moving this report. The recommendations are outlined on pages 34 and 35. There are 3 options at 2.7, and I would like to see if there are any members who would like to move an option. I see you. Yes, Councillor Madeline. Sorry? Okay, well, let's first hear. Would you, sorry. Okay, would you?
No, I'm moving. Oh, you're moving. I'm moving. Okay. Thanks, Joy. No, I'm going to move. Okay. Okay.
So, Councillor Madeline, if you could outline which option you are proposing and then speak to it for 3 minutes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, my colleagues and my comrades here in the room. And thank you, members of the public and members of staff that are here with us today. I call on my comrades and colleagues to pass option 3, to retain the existing members' allowance without increase and to formally accept option 3 accordingly. We thank the remuneration of councillors in London and the IRP report on the scheme of allowances for the next financial year. We thank them for their recognition of the work that we do, all of us, whichever party we belong to, at all levels of the council and councillor work, and the personal time we put in on top of the other responsibilities in life, such as work, caring, training, education and volunteering, that we take on in addition to our council work. However, each year as a councillor, we consider, review and assess all council spending and projections, which we then weigh and balance to ensure that we deliver a balanced budget for residents, including ourselves. By urging you to support option 3, we are reaffirming our dedication to a long-term sustainable foundation that protects all Newham people. It allows us to protect those services we all love and depend on, such as adult social care, housing, street cleaning, and our beloved libraries. Supporting option 3, no allowance rise for us, to build on reserves, allows us to build on reserves, support capital investment for all of our futures. We can never be complacent, as my colleague Sarah Lewis said previously, but we must ensure that we progress with the people, and therefore I urge you to support option 3.
Thank you, Councillor Sally Pontin. Could I ask Councillor John Morris?
Thank you, Chair. So, in a recent announcement, Steve Reid reversed a Conservative decision made about 10 years ago that removed councillors from the local government pension scheme. The original participation among councillors was first introduced under New Labour. Now, the reason why I brought this up is besides the recognition of the work that councillors do within the pension scheme, the work that the councillors, sorry, let me go back. So besides recognising the hard work that councillors do, what the pension scheme also does is adds on the contribution that councillors make from their allowances to up to 15%. And I think that considering in light of this decision, it's fairly okay for us to skip and freeze allowance for this year in recognition of the changes made by the recent Labour government that understands the contributions, both financial, but also the impact that councillors have in their local communities.
Thank you very much, Councillor John Morris. Does any other councillor wish to speak on this item? If so, you will have up to 3 minutes. If not, I still need a second for that. 1 second. Okay, all right.
Move to the vote.
Okay, so we are going to move straight to the vote. So all of you who are in favor of the proposed option 3 at 2.7, could you please raise your hands? Thank you. All those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. That is carried. So, thank you. With the proposed option, which was 3 at 2.7 agreed, I now move to the vote on the remaining recommendations 2.3 to 2.6 and 2.8 to 2.10. All those in favor of the remaining recommendations, could you please raise your hands? Thank you. All those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. That is also carried. I will now move to the next item, which is item 9, the Budget Scrutiny Commission Budget Scrutiny Report 2026, which is outlined from page 3 on your supplementary Agenda 1. I call on Councillor Lester Hudson, who's chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, to address the Council. You have up to 7 minutes.
Councillor Lester Hudson, Wall End Ward, Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Chair, Madam Mayor, members of Council, Newham residents. They say that football is a... Well, thank you very much. They say that football is a game of two halves. And colleagues, this is exactly how this year's budget story reads. The first half was bruising. A non-statutory best value notice in May 2025, an October finance review that told us plainly that many of us already knew, fragile reserves, optimism bias baked into our plans, and temporary accommodation costs, frankly, out of control, pressing us back. And it pressed us back towards our goal line. This was not a comfortable watch. It was not a comfortable report to read in October, and it certainly wasn't comfortable on the pitch. And then came the second half. The Fair Funding Review 2.0, a better settlement, a moment of relief. Let's be clear, this is not the final whistle. It was a reprieve, not promotion parade. It provided an opportunity for Newham Council, because of that financial settlement, to reset its budget priorities. And it's important at this point to recognise the role scrutiny played. This report marks a hat-trick of budget scrutiny commissions in 2024, in 2025, and now in 2026 that have consistently provided challenge, tested assumptions, and raised uncomfortable questions when they needed to be asked. Different squads, same discipline. Year after year, scrutiny has shown that it can add value, improve transparency, and strengthen decision-making, not by shouting from the sidelines, but by actually making a positive contribution. The Budget Scrutiny Commission's message is simple, and it is honest. Newham Council has been given time, but not immunity. Yes, the Fair Funding Review has transformed the scoreboard, reducing a projected deficit of between 90 million to 115 million gap to something close to balance by the end of the decade. That matters. It reflects deprivation and complexity that our borough carries every single day. But colleagues, football teaches us something else important. You do not build a winning team by celebrating a lucky deflection. Our scrutiny found that financial resilience remained weak, reserves still below safe levels, and the margin for error is thin. An optimism bias, assuming that everything would come good, and that was a real risk. Too often, savings have been penciled in before delivery routes were clear. Too often, difficult decisions have been delayed and softened, or pushed back into the long grass. The Commission is clear. We cannot afford to keep on playing for time. Temporary accommodation remains Newham's biggest financial risk. 1/3 of Newham's budget will soon be consumed if we do not act decisively. So we welcome the 50 million of mitigations proposed, but scrutiny's role is to ask uncomfortable questions. Are they robust? Are they sustainable? Because, as in football, as in finance, hope is not a strategy. Our recommendations therefore focused on three core themes. First, future financial resilience. We called for a clear multi-year plan to rebuild reserves, not as an accounting exercise, but an insurance policy against shocks, which always occur, be that international economic volatility, local demand pressures, national policy, or events. Second, realism over optimism. No more aspirational savings without delivery plans. No more assuming tomorrow will fix what we don't tackle today. Scrutiny is not here to block progress. It is there to make sure the game plan is credible. And third, decisive leadership. The Council must not dilute or delay difficult decisions that remain. And this is what this financial settlement does give us. It gives us time to sort out the difficult decisions. Whatever that is around discretionary spend, capital projects, or how we manage risk, the time for half measures is now over. This year, I mentioned some of the recommendations were immediately adopted, showing the organisation maturing attitude towards challenge. And this gave us cause for cautious optimism. This shows progress. Colleagues, progress comes when we make hard choices, not easy promises. That sentiment runs through the scrutiny report. This is not a report of complacency. This is not a report of crisis. This report is a report of opportunity with conditions attached. Newham has been handed the ball in space, but what matters is what we do, how we play forward. And the key thing, and actually the most important thing about this Scrutiny Commission is this is quite a strange year, because normally scrutiny commissions are to the executive and the mayor, but we all know there's going to be change next year. So really the scrutiny commission's recommendations are to the next administration, mayor and administration. I think there's some very, very good recommendations there which have been adopted. There have been some which I feel particularly disappointed have not been adopted, particularly Victoria Street. So my word is to the next mayor and the next cabinet to look at those recommendations and to make note and have a conversation with those scrutiny members, and we can certainly help you. We commend this report, and may I actually say that in terms of the scrutiny meetings, we worked with opposition parties, and it actually worked very well. All the meetings were cordial, and we actually treated each other with respect, and they were very, very good meetings. And I think they were absolutely excellent recommendations. I call upon Council to accept these recommendations, and I look forward to the Executive's response in the next report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hudson. Is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Susan Masters, you have up to 3 minutes if you wish to speak.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to be reserving my remarks for the comment on the budget itself. I don't really feel I can add much to what Councillor Hudson has said and what is included in our report, which lays that out admirably and which I've been widely sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Masters. So this is a report for noting. However, does any member wish to speak? No? Okay. Councillor Hudson, as the mover of the report, you have a right of last reply, but I'm guessing you don't want to take it because there's been no debate. So this is a report for noting. Is this noted? Thank you very much. I will now move to the next item, which is the executive response to the Budget Scrutiny Commission. This is outlined from page 85 on Supplementary Agenda 1. I call on Councillor Zulfikar Ali to address the Council, and you will have up to 7 minutes on this item.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Zulfikar Ali, Cabinet for Finance and Resources. Good evening to you all and those listening at home and in the public gallery. First of all, I'd like to place on record my thanks to the Budget Scrutiny Commission for their diligent and constructive work. And I will also include scrutiny committees, overview and scrutiny committee. So everyone who's been involved in part of this process has played a tremendous role in terms of strengthening our decision-making process. And that is exactly what we have seen this year. And I'm really pleased to hear Councillor Lester acknowledging my sentiments that this year the process worked far better, and we have worked in a spirit of collaboration, cordial environment, because ultimately we're doing everything we can for the benefit of the residents of this borough, and indeed delivering best value. I would like to say that the recommendations of the Budget Working Party have been very thoughtful, detailed, and rooted in a shared commitment to getting the best for our residents. The Budget Working Report reflects the seriousness with which we have been working collectively as executive and scrutiny. It's been hard, time has been short in some instances, but I think we've done all our best to provide assistance where we could do that in the spirit of partnership. We approach financial stewardship, transparency, and accountability, and I would like to say the scrutiny engagement this year has been far better than the previous year, as I said earlier. I also say that this is something that executive have considered very seriously, and the recommendations that have been made have helped us to add value to the overall decision-making process as part of the budget. A large number of the recommendations have been accepted in principle, and this year's scrutiny has rightly focused on financial resilience, improving the clarity of our budget proposals, and ensuring that every decision we take is rooted in robust evidence and delivers value for our residents. In particular, we agree on the need for greater transparency and details in savings and growth proposals, including clear business cases, risk assessments, and delivery plans. We also had a stronger and more structured approach to financial sustainability, including work to rebuild reserves and improve our medium-term financial strategy. And yes, I'm sure you'll be pleased to know the proposed budget has exceeded the minimum 5% Charter Institute of Public Finance limit of reserves, which is 5%, and our reserves have gone up to £52 million, which is 10% of our net revenue budget, and that's a great success. Thank you. In addition, we got a contingency of 10 million, as well as the other reserves for transformation and unforeseen eventualities, 20 million. So the budget proposals are substantially different, and I'm grateful to scrutiny as well for their challenging question, which has helped us to move forward in a positive way. But in addition to that, another point that scrutiny made was sustainable medium-term financial strategy. And you will see, colleagues, here that the budget proposed here offers a balanced budget for 3 years as part of the medium-term financial strategy, another success. And the continued improvement in governance, monitoring, and reporting, ensuring the delivery against savings and transformation program is tracked vigorously. And those are the recommendations which you will see in executive response that we have acknowledged. Chair, there are not just technical improvements. They are essential to contribute in terms of building trust and ensuring long-term stability. Members will know that we have faced significant financial pressures from arising demands on homeless. You heard my colleague, Councillor Verdi, telling you about homelessness situation and the TA crisis that we faced. And you'll be hearing social care and the inflation costs. The costs have been rising. Yet despite this, we are presenting a balanced budget for 26-27, protecting key services while keeping council tax amongst the lowest in London. And scrutiny has also raised important points on specific policy areas, including temporary accommodation, libraries. You heard my colleague, Charlene McLean, giving behind her speech, clear direction here, and the decision that the council has taken is not to close any libraries at all. And that, I hope, is clearly communicated so that any misunderstanding can be eradicated through the process. Waste management, you heard my colleague, John Wellup, explaining to you the improvements that we're making in that area. And income generation. In each of these areas, we have responded pragmatically where possible, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that we improve. Where further evidence or analysis is needed, we have committed to reviewing and refining proposals. Where delivery plans need strengthening, we will ensure they are fully developed before implementation. And where there are risks to residents, particularly vulnerable residents, we will proceed with care and proper impact assessments. Importantly, Chair, the response demonstrates a cultural change. I think that was also acknowledged by Councillor Lester here, for which I'm grateful. Scrutiny is not an obstacle. It has not been seen in that light. It is a partnership in improving decision-making process. The recommendations have helped sharpen our approach, and we welcome that challenge. Colleague, this budget is about more than balancing the books. It is about stability, credibility, and delivering for our residents. We're moving from a position of challenge to one of control and sustainability, supported by improved governance, stronger planning, and importantly, a fairer national funding settlement has helped us to deliver that. Chair, with those words, I commend this executive response to the Council as a measured, responsible, and forward-looking approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ali. Is there a seconder for this? I need a seconder. Oh, okay. Thank you, Councillor Blossom Young. So, do you want to speak? No? Okay, that's fine. So, this report is for noting. However, again, does anyone wish to speak? Yes, Councillor Higgins. You have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Nate Higgins, Stratford Olympic Park Ward and leader of the Green Group. I wanted to talk about 2 recommendations that the Budget Scrutiny Commission made that the administration has accepted that I'm really excited about. And this is to move forward with work into introducing, if possible, a workplace parking levy and size and weight-based parking charges. Many people in this room will have heard me talk about this relentlessly for the last 4 years. And I think it's important that we take this moment now to talk about why, because as Councillor Hudson has said, you know, we're agreeing a budget now, but it's going to be carried forward by whichever administration is elected in May. And we're seeing 2 candidates for Mayor of Newham talk about wanting to introduce free parking permits. And I'm really concerned about how much that will cost, and I wanted to talk about why this is the alternative, and it's the fairer alternative. I'm a Green councillor. You know, people would be surprised for me to come up here and talk about downsides of our emissions-based parking scheme. I think Newham has innovated in this area. It's right that we're looking at ways to use whatever levers we have as a council to drive change in our borough. But what we're seeing with the emissions-based parking scheme as it runs at the moment is people seeing their neighbours who are wealthier, driving heavier cars, driving more expensive cars, taking up more space on the road, causing more damage on the road, paying less than they are. We know that our poorest residents don't drive at all. You know, half of Newham residents don't drive a car at all. But for those who do need to see their wealthier neighbours pay less, I think that does create a lot of tension. And that's why we are seeing in the election coming up people saying that the quick solution is to introduce free parking. That's going to cost millions of pounds. That's money that we're seeing right now that this council doesn't have. We're having arguments over savings that are in the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of pounds. The money it would take to do free parking is significant. If we charge people based on the size and weight of their car, we're saying, actually, if you take up more space on our roads, if you drive a heavier car that is at more risk of hurting children, if there's a collision that takes up more parking space, that is more proportionate to your ability to pay, I think that that's the fairer way to fix this system, while still saying that actually, the cars that have these negative externalities, we should pay for them. So it's been frustrating up to this point that we've not been able to make progress, but whoever the next administration is, they should take on these recommendations to drive this policy forward, pun not intended, to make sure that we've got a fair solution to the parking situation in this borough. Thank you.
Councillor Higgins. Anyone else? In that case, Councillor Ali, as the mover of the report, you have the right to reply. Do you want to reply? No? Thank you very much. So thank you. This is again a report for noting. Is that noted? Thank you very much. I will now move to item 10A, which is the HRA budget. This report is outlined from page 125 on the supplementary agenda 1. I call upon Councillor Blossom Young to move this report. Councillor Young, you will have up to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Blossom Young, Beckton Ward and Cabinet Lead for Council Housing Improvements. Council, today I'm bringing forward the Housing Revenue Account Budget for 26-27. And this budget is not just a set of numbers, it's a statement of intent. It's the next step in delivering the commitments we made in response to the C4 rating from the Regulator of Social Housing and updates the 30-year HRA business plan that we set out in December 2025. It reflects a council that is determined to put right decades of underinvestment, neglect and systemic failure in our housing services. Our mission is clear: safe, secure and high-quality homes for every resident. That is the foundation of this budget, and it is the standard we are holding ourselves to. Over the past 16 months, we've been honest about the scale of the challenge. The regulator's C4 grading was a wake-up call, but it was also an opportunity to confront long-standing issues head-on and rebuild trust with tenants and with leaseholders. We've not shied away from that responsibility. We've acted decisively, and we're already seeing the impact. Last May, we set out our stall with the Housing Services Improvement Programme. We reviewed this programme last month as we prepared to enter into a voluntary undertaking with the regulator, a root and branch overhaul of the programme to make sure it works. We tightened the scope, reset the timescales, and have built a realistic, deliverable plan that reflects the true scale of the work ahead, following our learning over the last 16 months. We've also moved quickly to bring in specialist expertise so that we have the capacity to deliver, not just to plan. And our progress so far has been real and measurable. We're seeing compliance levels over building safety areas vastly improving, and we're strengthening reporting across all areas to ensure full transparency and assurance. Vulnerability screening for fire safety is well underway, and we've assessed over half of our high-rise blocks, contacted over 1,500 vulnerable residents, completed more than 400 person-centred fire risk assessments, and put in place nearly 200 evacuation plans. And crucially, this work has triggered over 3,000 referrals for wider support, showing what a joined-up council can achieve. Our repairs service has transformed. Over half of all repairs were overdue at the time of the regulator's inspection, and the overdue backlog is now at 13%, with 95% of all new reported repairs completed on time. We're rebuilding resident involvement from the ground up. Estate inspections are underway, housing services are back in neighbourhoods, and the resident involvement strategy is moving from paper to practice, with new initiatives launching from April. The Resident Challenge Board is now a genuine force for accountability. It scrutinised our work on fire safety, repairs, communications, and has submitted recommendations, many of which we've already implemented. This is residents rightly holding us to account. Tenancy audits are accelerating, over 8,000 have been completed, and a new digital audit tool goes live in April. This will speed up the process, improve accuracy, and cut out the bureaucracy of paper forms. And we've made a major shift in transparency, publishing compliance and repairs data monthly since October, so residents can clearly see how we're performing and where we must improve. And our data improvement programme is reshaping the foundations of the service. A new strategic framework's in place, staff training is underway, and our asset data is being externally audited. This is the groundwork that will allow us to make better decisions, target investment properly, and finally get a grip on compliance. Council, this is what progress looks like. Not slogans, not promises, but delivery. And so to this budget. The 2026-27 HRA budget prioritises investment in building safety, compliance and planned maintenance at a scale far beyond previous years. It recognises the pressures facing all local authority landlords, rising inflation, new regulatory standards, and the need to invest in long-neglected homes. But we're also operating in a national context that is finally shifting in ways that support our ambitions, led by a Labour government. A long-term rent settlement, greater flexibility on right-to-buy receipts, £39 billion investment in new social housing, rent convergence, renters' rights, leasehold reform, and updated decent home standards. All of these changes strengthen the financial capacity of councils like ours. They give us the tools to deliver the improvements our residents so rightly deserve. But to sustain this investment, the budget includes a 4.8% increase in rents and tenant service charges from April, in line with the National Rent Standard. This is not a decision taken lightly, but it is necessary to maintain services, meet our legal obligations, and deliver the improvements residents rightly expect. I want to thank officers in Finance and Housing Services for their work on this budget and the wider HRA business plan. It's their commitment, professionalism and tenacity that are driving this transformation and making an impact in residents' lives. Chair, this budget is about more than compliance. It's about restoring pride in our housing service, rebuilding trust with residents, and laying the foundations for safer, fairer, and more accountable landlord services. It's about investing in our homes, in our communities, and in our future. I commend this HRA budget to Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Young. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor John Gray. You have up to 3 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor John Gray, West Ham Ward, speaking in favour and proudly seconding this housing budget, because in Newham the housing crisis isn't just a headline, it's a daily reality. It's about our homeless, it's about the family of 5 sharing one room, it's about the young couple working 2 jobs each and still unable to rent securely. But today, for the first time in over a decade, we finally have, as a council, a government that isn't looking the other way. A government facing the crisis head-on with urgency, ambition and the political courage that has been missing for far too long. Let's be absolutely clear. Labour is delivering for Newham, both here in the council and the government. A Labour government pledging £39 billion of investment in housing. It's not tinkering, it's not a pilot, it's not a press release, it's a transformational commitment, the greatest in a generation, and it aims squarely at the places that need it the most, boroughs like ours, where the gap between need and supply have become intolerable. And colleagues, let's talk about the decisions some people said would never happen, effectively ending the right to buy. For decades, councils have been expected to house a growing population while we watch our stock sold off faster than we could ever replace it. In Newham, we've seen thousands of council homes disappear into the private sector. Ending right to buy, it's not just a policy change, it's a restoration of common sense. It means that the homes we build will stay in public hands. It means that we'll finally grow our stock instead of managing decline. It means future generations will not be left with the crumbs of what once was. And there's the 10-year rent settlement agreement. For the first time in decades, councils and housing providers have stability, real stability. No more annual uncertainty, no more last-minute changes that blow holes in budgets. This long-term framework means that we can plan repairs, invest in safety and build new homes of confidence. It means tenants know what to expect. Add this to the government's commitment to 1.5 million new homes, mandatory housing targets, faster local plans and a planning system that finally works with councils instead of against them. And you can feel the shift. After years of drift, delay and denial, we have a Labour government that is actually governing. This HRA plan shows that we welcome this agenda and we will deliver for our residents, because housing is not just about bricks and mortar. It's about dignity, it's about security, it's about giving every child in Newham the chance to grow up in a home that is safe, stable and warm. Chair, Council, this is Labour delivering what only Labour ever does. Real change for working people. I'm proud, very proud to second this motion.
Councillor Gray,
Please support.
Thank you very much. We now move to the debate. We now move to the debate on item 10A. Does any member wish to speak on this item? No? Councillor Young, do you still want to have a right of reply? Thank you very much for that. Okay, so as this report normally forms part of the budget report, I'm calling for a recorded vote on the recommendations, which are outlined on page 126 on the supplementary agenda for approval. I'm going to be asking the interim chief exec to carry out the recorded vote. When the interim chief executive calls out your name, when replying to your vote, please state for, against, or abstain. Please speak up clearly so your vote is recorded correctly. So I'll pass over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is a recorded vote for the HRA budget report, and as the Chair has explained, if you could, when I call out your name, say for, or against, or abstain, starting, Chair, with yourself, Dr. Rohit Dasgupta.
For.
Mayor Fires.
For.
Councillor Shantu Firdos. Councillor Mohammed Ghani. Councillor Anam Islam. Councillor Alan Griffiths. Councillor Joy Laguda. Councillor Jane Lofthouse. Councillor Femi Falola. Councillor Cannon Ann Easter. Councillor Liz Cronin. Councillor Carolyn Corbyn. Councillor Said Bashar. Councillor Jennifer Bailey. Councillor Akthar Al-Alam. Councillor Zulfikar Ali. Councillor Charlene McLean. Councillor Sarah Ruiz. Councillor Amar Singh Verdi. Councillor John Whitworth. Councillor Blossom Young. Councillor Mumtaz Khan. Councillor John Morris. Councillor Miraj Patel. Councillor Sabia Kamali. Councillor Steve Brayshaw. Councillor Mehmood Mirza. Councillor Sophia Nakvi. Councillor Zubair Gula Marzan. Councillor Islam MD Nazrul. Councillor Lakmini Shah. Councillor Susan Masters. Councillor Lester Hudson. Councillor Nick Higgins. Councillor Danny Keeling. I'll move on. Councillor Arik Chowdhury.
No.
No.
I'll ask for advice from the monitoring officer.
No, Councillor Keeling, this forms part of the budget and the council tax forms part of the budget, so no.
Councillor Arik Chowdhury. Councillor Nur Begum. Councillor Belkiga Guana. Councillor Lewis Godfrey. Thank you. Councillor Pushpa Makwana. Councillor Anthony McCalmont. Councillor Shaban Mohammed. Councillor Thelman Udoy. Councillor Caroline Oladapo. Councillor Melanie Onovo. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Thank you. Councillor James Beckles. Councillor John Gray. Councillor Rachel Tripp. Councillor Madeline Sali-Pontin. Councillor Larissa Gelipikaya. Councillor Winston Vaughan.
Not here.
Councillor Simon Rush. Councillor Rahima Rahman. Councillor Muziba Rahman. And I believe that that is all of the councillors in the room, unless somebody indicates otherwise. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll just wait for the results. I think it's... We have to wait for...
43 for.
So it's 43 for, 6 against, and 0 abstention. So the report's recommendations have been agreed. Thank you very much. I will now move to item 11, which is the budget setting report, outlined from page 149 on your supplementary agenda 1. Can I now ask Councillor Zulfikar Ali to present the report? You have up to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Zulfikar Ali, Cabinet Lead for Finance and Resources. Chair, I start to present this budget with a clear message. The message is that this budget demonstrates strong leadership, financial discipline, and labour values in action, as Mayor has stated earlier. Not long ago, in this chamber and beyond, we were being repeatedly told that this council is going bankrupt. It's on the verge of collapse. And there are some who have said it so often, I suspect they started to believe it themselves. You may recall, Chair, even at last year's budget setting meeting, I repeatedly said that Newham is not going bankrupt. And here we are today, demonstrating that this administration has delivered what many thought was impossible. We are proposing a balanced budget without exceptional financial support. Let me repeat, there's no bailout, there's no emergency borrowing, just sound financial management. Now let me be clear, we did require EFS last year. We did not ignore it, we did not deny it, but we fixed it. Chair, the fact this year speaks for themselves, and I hope everyone in this chamber will welcome the proposed budget tonight. After years of Tory austerity, councils like Newham were left underfunded and overstretched. As Mayor said earlier, we lost around £370 million over the last decade. Can you imagine what that could have done for the residents of Newham? Thanks to the Labour government, despite facing many challenges, they committed to review local government financial settlement, and they did it. Not only did they review the Fair Funding Review, they also introduced multi-year financial settlement, which enables us to plan things better. And I must say, as Mayor has already indicated, this was as a result of extensive lobbying, campaigning, and some of you may be old enough, like me, to remember that we did have a new need campaign back in late 90s and early 2000, because we have been saying continuously that Newham is not getting the fair share of the cake. But Chair, financial support creates opportunity, and I think that was echoed by Councillor Lester too. It does not guarantee success, and success comes how we manage it. And this administration has done exactly that, because alongside this support, we have done the hard work, executive as well as scrutiny, in coming with this balanced budget. We spent well over £2 billion in gross for the residents of Newham, with a net revenue budget of over £500 million. In this budget, we have £59 million growth next year, and this is to ensure that we fund many services, are demand-led, which are that social care, children's services, temporary accommodation. We have £55 million savings, which have been formed through not service cuts, but through efficiency, transformation, and service redesign, and fees and charges. We have £8 million underspent in Q3 of the current financial year, and that clearly demonstrates that we have good financial control in place, and we are spending every penny wisely across the borough. And we have said we have a balanced budget for the next 3 years. We have £50 million, as I said earlier, unallocated general fund balances, and that is 10% of our net budget. We have 10 million contingency. In addition, we have 20 million of business risk reserves. Who knows what is around the corner? We've had COVID. As a result of the COVID, we lost 9 million of our reserves because the Tory government said spend, 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 which we did, but we never got it back. So, colleagues, we have 4.1 million savings from capital financing review. We reviewed our capital program, and this is the reduction in the capital financing cost that we are proposing in the next year budget. And yes, fair funding has helped us, but let's look around. Last year, there were 7 London boroughs winning EFS. This year, there are 9. We were there last year, but we are not. We have made the difference. We worked hard. Everyone else had fair funding review. But if fair funding review was the only answer, then clearly we would not have been out of the situation we were last year. So in other words, Chair, we have a medium-term financial strategy which is balanced. We're not firefighting anymore. We are planning, we are strengthening, and we are delivering. Our approach has been the right one, not through reckless cuts, but as I said, through reform, efficiency, and transformation. What does this mean for our residents? And my colleagues have already stated some of the outcomes that we're expecting. Cleaner streets, safer neighborhoods, support for young people, protection of the most vulnerable, and continued investment in housing and our roads in order to make sure that they are safe and we reduce our temporary accommodation cost. This is not a budget of decline. This is a budget that delivers for our people. All through decisive action, we're reducing costs across the board. It's not a rhetoric, it's a financial discipline and grip. And despite pressures, we continue to be the lowest council tax in Outer London and the 6th lowest across London. We're not just balancing the book, Chair, we're building better Newham for tomorrow and delivering best value for people who are here to serve. Chair, the budget is about fairness. Fairness is how we allocate resources. Fairness is how we protect the vulnerable. Fairness is how we plan our future, because fairness is not just something we say, it is something we deliver. However, I know the challenges remain, and we are conscious of those, and we shall be doing everything we can to make sure that we meet those challenges robustly as we've done so this year. We're improving services, we're investing. Chair, if running a council were as simple as having wishful shop lists, we will all be experts. The reality is it requires answers. Budget is not built on slogans, it's built on decisions. It's easy to oppose things, but it's harder to propose anything tangible. I would like to draw your attention to the section 25 of the section 151 officer report, and I thank the mayor, officers, cabinet colleagues, scrutinies, and the residents of the borough for their support in bringing forward this budget, which is balanced and is deliverable and is sustainable. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ali. Do I have a seconder for this? Mayor Roxana Fiaz, you have up to 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. Colleagues, residents, I'm standing to second this budget because it represents a promise kept. In the face of a national housing crisis and the scars of a lost decade of austerity, we have refused to settle for managing decline. Instead, we have chosen social justice. This budget is our manifesto for Fairer Newham, a shield for the vulnerable and a blueprint for our borough's future. What does this look like in the lives of our residents? It means that despite every pressure, the essentials remain secured. Our support for young people, our care for the elderly, and our outstanding children's services are protected. These aren't just line items, they are foundations of a decent society, a decent borough. On housing, we are not just managing the crisis, we are attacking its roots. We are strengthening prevention and building the genuinely affordable homes our families deserve, so that stability isn't a luxury for the few, but a right for the many. And let me address, again, all those rumours about the clarity our residents deserve. We are not closing libraries. Under this administration, our libraries remain safe. We are modernising all of our council spaces. so they become modern hubs for our residents to access, be supported, so that they can be well and thrive. That is what responsible leadership looks like, adapting our treasures so they survive and serve for another 50, 100 years. We know that for many, every penny counts. That is why we have fought so hard for fairer funding. Because we won that fight, we can keep Newham Council's tax amongst the lowest in London. But fairness isn't just about the rate, it's about the safety net. Our eligible pensioners will continue to pay nothing. Our eligible families facing the most pressures will still see discounts of up to 70%. And we will continue helping those facing the deepest hardship. We will be there. And that's a deliberate choice. It is a Labour choice, and I stand by it 100%. We are investing in the everyday. We've listened to the concerns of our residents, and we are investing in our parks and our streets because of the quality of the world outside your front door shapes your quality of life. Colleagues, this budget proves that you can be both fiscally responsible and radically compassionate. We've reached a point of stability without emergency support because we did the hard work early. This budget ensures our children have the support to succeed, our streets are cleaner, and our most vulnerable residents are protected. My counsel to all councillors here tonight and all those hopefuls seeking election or re-election in May, including all mayoral candidates, do not squander this budget of resilience, realism and results, or indulge the naysayers or the fantasists who think this budget is like Swiss cheese
Please wrap up.
with holes.
Your time's up.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Very much. Okay, we're going to now move to the debate. Thank you all political groups for sending me. Is there a point of order? No, okay. Thank you to all political groups for sending me your names, and I know everyone wants to speak on this, so I'm going to just do it in the order in which I've received it. So the first speaker is Councillor Shantu Ferdos.
Good evening, Chair and all. I'm Shantu Ferdos, Councillor for East Hemord. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Labour Central Government for providing a budget 217 million for Newham, which has enabled us to progress in delivering the quality service for our resident deserves. In Newham, we show kindness when we encounter residents facing homelessness. It is our responsibility to assist them, even though financial constraints have resulted in a budget shortfall. The 26-27 budget plan indicates a protected 15 million reduction in temporary accommodation cost. As a member of Newham Parent Forum and an active education and CYP scrutiny member for nearly 4 years, I understand the significance of providing the right support of residents struggling with their SCND children. A restructuring of SCND high needs funding is proposed, changing the distribution of Elements 3 top-up funding for pupils with special educational needs and disabilities by increasing funding bands from 2 to 4, aligned with national guidance, where opposition is saying special needs children and disabled residents are abundant and making it political. We care for our residents. Extra investment in SCND is making a real difference with initiatives like Lukolofa Live and expanded Lukolofa and more holiday provisions. Many thanks to Cabinet member Sarah Ruiz, who has devoted her time, effort to securing necessary funding for all children. The Newham Labour administration has worked with Budget Committee officers, residents, and ensure the budget plan will keep our household benefit from the 6th lowest council tax in London and lowest in outer London, which colleagues already mentioned. The council tax money will help for adult social care to managing rising demand and cost. We care for our disabled residents. Again, opposition is saying that disabled residents are abandoned. So if they make everything free, so how funding will be allocated to serve better way our disabled residents deserve? Increased investment aimed to keeping our streets clean, affordable housing continues to be constructed. Therefore, to our residents, we are not facing financial crisis. You will continue to receive the good quality service that our residents deserve. Thank you all.
Councillor Firdaus. Councillor Nate Higgins. Oh, Councillor Arik. Councillor Higgins, your name is on the list. Yeah, okay.
Council, let me start first by commending the incredible efforts of the amazing Save Newham Libraries campaign, whose chants outside the administration's cuts were heard loud and clear in this chamber. It is thanks to them and their campaigning efforts that the Council has looked again at its proposals to cut library services by up to 50%. Secondly, let me put on the record the Green Party's disappointment in the Council's decision to suspend one of the library workers involved in the Save Newham Libraries campaign. This isn't the first time that the Council has attacked its own workers for organising against job cuts. They did it with our refuse workers, and now they are doing it with our librarians. This behaviour is creating a culture of fear amongst Council staff, and it needs to stop. Now, the Council has gone on the record as saying austerity is over. This description is delusional.
I've just been advised that this is not about the budget. Could you keep your debate points to the budget?
The cuts about library services is very much about the budget. Thank you, Chair. Now, the Council has gone on the record as saying austerity is over.
Sorry, Councillor Chaudhry.
If we can just confirm, and I'm sure the Section 151 officer will confirm, there are no proposed cuts to library services?
But there is a very much live campaign to cuts against library services.
It's not about the budget.
Council, you can... This Labour councillors can delude themselves all they want, but we could hear their chants loud and clear. Residents are very concerned about what this council is doing.
Councillor Chaudhry, if you could move back to the budget.
I am trying to move back onto the budget.
What the monitoring officer has advised.
I am very much trying. Yes, Chair, I'm trying to move on with my speech, but you're interrupting. Thank you.
But I will have to stop you if you go back to that point.
Fine. Now, hopefully I get my time back as well. Now, the Council has gone on the record as saying austerity is over. This description is delusional and bears no resemblance to the reality being experienced by residents across Newham who are being hit by an unbearable cost of living, higher taxes and cuts to local services. And under this budget, it is clear the most vulnerable will suffer again with a major cut to the council tax reduction scheme, which is now down from 90% last year to 70% this year. Meanwhile, the council our residents pay for is on its knees. It has failed on governance, failed on clean streets, and failed on housing, with its already limited resources diverted to deal with allegations of serious housing allocation fraud. We need a budget that is genuinely anti-austerity and brings the council back to basics, roots out corruption, and puts people's needs first. This Labour group budget we are discussing today is temporary, as we now know their candidate for mayor is likely to make cuts left, right and centre to fund their reckless and unnecessary multi-million-pound policy on car parking, rather than spending that money on the actual problems facing our borough. We look forward to putting forward the Green Party's plan to the people of Newham, which will be one rooted in hope, opportunity and competence. Thank you.
Your time's up. Thank you very much. Councillor Sabia Kamali.
Councillor Sabia Kamali, Stratford Ward. Now, I have to say the last few weeks have been entertaining. If you listen to some of the stories flying around while knocking on doors, you would think we were about to shut every library, lock every council building, hand out eviction notice to the pigeons on the roof. But let's be clear, there are no plans to cut libraries. All those vital community space residents rely on are staying open. That's the difference between Labour leadership and opposition scaremongering. We deal in reality, not headlines. The budget reflects the real needs of our borough because we've taken the time to listen to residents and understand what matters to them. This budget provides financial stability for the next few years, allowing us to plan with confidence, protect services and invest where it matters most. We've built in sensible saving through efficiency, not by cutting essential services, but by managing them better. Now, of course, we will hear alternative proposal. The independent group's idea often sounds exciting. Freezing this, spend more there, reverse that decision. It almost reads like online shopping basket. Everything goes in, nobody checks the total, and nobody explains how it's going to be paid for. Those are uncosted promises. Our responsibility is to deliver a budget that actually works. And let's not forget, the Section 151 officer last year raised serious concerns because the numbers simply didn't add up. Chair, the administration has done the hard work, providing financial stability, making targeted saving, invested in essential services, tackling housing pressure responsibly, and keeping Newham on a stable path. So tonight the choice is simple. Do we back a responsible, realistic budget or gamble on proposal that might sound good on the doorstep but collapse under scrutiny? Our budget protects residents, delivers real improvement, and keeps Newham moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kamali. Councillor Sophia Naqvi.
Hi, Councillor Sophia Naqvi, Plaster North Ward. This is not a budget to be proud of. This is a budget that asks residents to accept less, pay more, and expect worse, and call it progress. After years of promises, we are now told that services must be reduced, charges must rise, and residents must carry the burden. Let us be honest about what that means. It means fewer opportunities for our young people. It means less support for our vulnerable residents. It means residents pay more for services that are already stretched. This administration will try to present this as responsible, but there's nothing responsible about allowing essential services to be hollowed out. There is nothing responsible about asking struggling family households to pay the price for financial mismanagement and failed priorities. Residents in Newham are already under immense pressure. They are dealing with rising costs, rising bills and rising rents in every part of their lives. And now this council is adding that pressure instead of relieving it. A budget is a statement of values. It shows what you choose to protect and what you're willing to decline. And today, residents can see clearly that they are not this administration's priority. We believe residents deserve better than cuts concealed as efficiencies. They deserve honesty about the consequences of these decisions, and they deserve leadership that will stand for them, not ask them to accept decline. We cannot support a budget that makes residents pay more and get less. We reject these cuts and stand with every family, every child, every elder who will suffer if this budget passes. We deserve a budget that uplifts, not that destroys. Thank you.
Councillor Naqvi. Councillor Alan Griffiths.
Right, thank you, Chair, Council officers, members of the public listening in. I've listened carefully to the comments of both opposition speakers, and I heard no mentions of any figures, and I heard no proposals to actually change the budget. So I'm happy to come here to support a budget that is proposing that Newham will have the lowest council tax in Outer London. Again! Even I, who've been on 7 of the last 8 councils, have lost count of how many years we've been saying that. And the other thing we can say, from years and years again, is that yet again, Newham's young people are beating the English average for staying on at 16 and for entry to higher education, which has been true for a generation. And now we have the evidence that Newham is leading the country in getting young people who've gone through school on free meals into higher education. A tremendous success. And recalling one of my more controversial remarks from a few months ago, definitely a hand up rather than a hand out. So what have the opposition actually got to say? Councillor Chowdhury talked about mythical cuts to libraries. I wonder if someone with his record in policy has never heard of zero-based budgeting, where you start from nothing because you need to start at the beginning of arguing why you're doing anything at all, why you're doing the way it is, and you might well end up back where you started, but it doesn't mean all the drastic things are likely to happen. It means you're looking at everything very thoroughly and seriously. So,
sorry, Councillor Keeling.
So in terms of the proposals, I found a document. I didn't steal it, but I found it. It contains all the alternatives proposed by the opposition of the Greens and the Independents. And on this side, there is nothing. And on this side, there is nothing. I shall give it to Councillor Mirza, who's been remarkably quiet. So, what have we heard from the opposition? There is a quote from Shakespeare, as there usually is. And my dad used to run around the house in the morning and says, "Where's me Henry IV Part 1?" when he was going to teach it in the morning. It's not Henry IV Part 1, it's Macbeth. Full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Griffiths. Councillor Mahmood Mirza. Councillor Mahmood Mirza?
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Mahmood Mirza, Boleyn Ward. Tonight, we asked to approve a budget that Labour calls responsible and necessary. Let's be honest, it is an austerity by another name. Families are already dealing with the high rents, rising bills, and constant pressure just to get by. At a time when residents need stability and support, this budget offers cuts, added strain. It weakens the very services that protect most vulnerable. Newham Independent do not believe balancing books should come before protecting people. We stand with the older residents, worried about losing support, working families forced to make impossible choices, and the young person who relies on services that are slowly being reduced. When Labour speak of tough decisions, it's our residents who feel the impact. Leadership is not about passing the hardship downwards. It's about standing up for your community and challenging the system that is not working. For years, residents have heard promises of change, yet many still face poor services and growing pressure. Chair, we must also address how this budget has been handled. We asked for detailed information weeks ago so we can carry out proper scrutiny. Instead, we were given only days to review complex budgets that affect tens of thousands of people. This is not transparency. It is not allowed proper democratic accountability. Because we were denied the time and a full access to information, we have not been able to present fully balanced alternative, despite our clear intention to offer a fairer approach. The people of Newham deserve honesty. We will not support the policies that harm communities, simply because they are described as unavoidable. We will not rubber stamp austerity presented as the only option. Newham deserves investment, compassion, and leadership that puts residents first. Tonight, we stand with the people of this borough. We stand against the budget, ask the most vulnerable to pay highest price, and we will continue to challenge and scrutinize, fight for fairness in Newham. Chair, we will not take part in this proceeding because we haven't been treated fairly, and we will boycott this budget proceeding.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mirza. Okay, I'm going to now call on Councillor Simon Rush. Councillor Rush.
Right, so I was just waiting for the room to calm back down before I started. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. The Newham Independents like to present themselves, but they seem to have unpresented themselves, as the voice of Newham. And yet, when it came to the most fundamental responsibility of any council, setting a budget, they failed to put forward a lawful alternative. Let us be clear, there is no credible alternate budget. So the obvious question is, if the opposition claimed to have all the answers, why were they unable to produce a lawful budget? We can only draw reasonable conclusions. Either they did not do the work, or they realised their headline promises, so confidently printed on leaflets, simply do not withstand scrutiny when subjected to the council reality of council finances. Perhaps Councillor Mirza can explain how pledges such as freezing council tax would actually be paid for. Can't ask him, unfortunately, because slogans may win attention, but they do not fund social care. They do not keep our streets clean. They do not protect frontline services. So where does the money come from? Which services are cut to make the numbers add up? Which residents are expected to bear the consequences? The truth is that unfounded promises always come with a cost, and that cost is usually paid through cuts to the very services residents rely on every day. That is the detail that was missing because it's uncomfortable to admit. By contrast, this administration has been honest with residents. We have brought forward a lawful, realistic budget that makes tough but responsible choices and focuses on delivery rather than gimmicks. For example, we committed $700,000 to potholes repairs, resulting in around 1,600 potholes repaired in the last financial year alone. This is not rhetoric, this is real investment, delivering real improvements that residents can see on their streets. That is the difference between this is before this chamber today. Claims versus credibility, leaflets versus lawful budgets, and empty promises versus real delivery for the people of Newham. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Rush. Councillor Lakshmini Shah.
Mayor and councillors, tonight we come together to approve a budget during one of the most challenging financial periods. Yet, despite these pressures, this is a people-centered Labour budget, one that protects services and makes no cuts to the essential support our communities rely on. As Chair of the Education and CYPS Scrutiny Commission, I want to focus on what this budget means for our children and young people. We have retained our school patrol officers, or commonly known as the lollipop ladies and men, who keep our children safe on their journey to and from school. Our children's centres, which provide early years support and parenting guidance at the most crucial stages of development. No cuts to our pupil referral units budget, ensuring that young people who need additional support remain engaged in education rather than being left behind. Every one of these decisions has been taken with one principle in mind: giving our children and young people the very best start in life. Even in financially difficult times, we have held firm to our values. This is about life chances. It is about ensuring that where a child is born does not determine where they end up. Nationally, the Labour government SEND Reform White Paper, which was published 2 days ago, sets out a clear ambition to create a more inclusive education system. This aligns with our local commitment to invest more effectively in children with additional needs. Chair, this is what a Labour Council does. We protect services, we invest in opportunity, we listen to residents who have had the opportunity to shape this budget through consultation. And above all, we put children and young people first. I'm so proud to support this budget because it reflects our values, our priorities, and our belief that every child in Newham deserves the very best future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shah. Can I please make a request after this? I've still got another 5 speakers who've said they want to speak. If you can keep it to less than 3 minutes, that would be really helpful. Okay, thank you. Councillor Shabad Mohammed. As this is a budget meeting, there isn't any close time, so we can continue, but I would still like us to go back home at a good time.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I would like to thank Councillor Ali for the last 4 years as lead member for Finance for his hard work and dedication during some real troubling times for local government. 14 years of underfunding in local government has left many local authorities addressing the real crisis in housing, education and social care. But it's a Labour government that's given this administration the funding needed to deliver for its residents. It's Labour councils that really deliver for their residents. I'm proud to serve as a Labour councillor and deliver for my residents. Leaders come and go, but our principles and values have made me a Labour councillor delivering for the residents of this borough. I'm proud to serve as on this Labour administration that has delivered building affordable homes for our residents, delivering excellent Ofsted results, invested millions in tackling the homeless crisis, buying homes and supporting families in their time of need, working to improve the services in this great borough and the residents for Canning Town North. I'm looking forward to more investment in our green spaces, enforcement teams, temporary accommodation and building more social housing units. There is light at the end of the tunnel, it's Newham Labour. I would like to also thank Mayor Fiaz for her hard work and dedication for the residents of Newham. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. You've done well. You've kept to below time. Councillor Rahima Rahman.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, colleagues, before I speak on the budget, I want us to pause and reflect on what life truly looks like for many of our residents, because behind every figure in this budget, there is a family trying to survive with dignity. This is a reality for one family in our borough, a family of 6 two-parents and 4 children living here in Newham. After paying their rent and essential bills, they are left with £80 to get through the entire week. And with that £80, they must cover food, transport, school needs, clothing, and anything emergency, unexpected that comes their way. There is nothing left for the birthdays or even a small family treat. Every week becomes a careful balancing act between food, warmth, and worry. And still, these parents do everything they can to protect their children from the stress. This is not an unusual story. This is the reality for many families in Newham, and it is exactly why the decision we make tonight's matter so deeply to me. Therefore, I welcome this budget because it puts our residents first at a time of a real financial pressure for councils across the country, rising demand for adult social care, the cost of temporary accommodation, and the years of underfunding have created the challenging landscape, but this budget takes a responsible, fair, and people-centered approach. This budget delivers 3 clear commitments. 1, protecting frontline services. Our libraries, youth services, neighborhood support teams, and community programs remain in place. 2nd, investing in our borough. We continue to build affordable homes, improve our streets, and support families. The fair funding settlement finally recognizes the scale of need in Newham, and this budget uses that investment to lift our communities. 3rd, a fair and balanced approach to the council tax. Council tax in Newham remains among the lowest in London, with tens of thousands of low-income households receiving up to 70% off through our council tax reduction scheme. Families in Newham are facing rising rents, food prices, energy bills, and insecure work. We see this every day in our schools, in our streets, in our state, in our surgery, in our casework. This budget ensures that those already struggling are not left behind and keeps Newham financially stable for long term. I support this budget because it protects our neighbors, our families, and our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Rahman. Councillor Masters. And we have one final speaker after this. Thank God.
It's probably no surprise that I want to speak in support of the health and adult social care aspects of this Labour administration's budget. There may be parts of this budget I also disagree with, but as a member of Budget Working Party, I express those views in the report and recommendations of that commission. Unlike Councillor Mirza, who had the same opportunity and contributed nothing, not even seeing fit to attend the meeting where recommendations were tabled. And now we find there's no alternative budget from his party either. Is that improvement on last year's £32 million deficit alternative budget? I'll leave you to make your own minds up. Anyway, moving on. I welcome the 11.5 million in growth being applied to our health and adult social care services. Over the 4 years I've chaired Health and Adult Social Care Scrutiny, I've come to appreciate the complexity of many of the cases our teams address, whether we're talking mental, physical or emotional challenges. Challenges that require innovative planning and clear policies, not empty slogans. Newham has always been seen as a young borough, and yet it should be noted that over the next 14 years it's expected that the age group that will see the biggest increase is the over 60s. One of the real successes of our current team is that of maintaining the dignity of our older residents and supporting them to stay in their own homes, where this is their wish. While we've seen an 18% increase in unique service contacts, we've actually seen a 30% reduction in those entering long-term care. There are those who've complained about our 4.99% increase in council tax, but 2% of this is actually the social care precept, again supporting those residents in greatest need, our elderly and disabled. I can't get my thing to scroll up, unfortunately, so I'll have to leave my last point and my last minute, but I contribute that to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Higgins, you had indicated you wanted to speak. Do you want to speak? No? Okay, that's fine. In that case, last speaker, Councillor Steve Brayshaw.
Thank you, Chair, Mayor, Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, residents of Newham. Today I stand before you not just as one of the Labour councillors, but of a voice for the hard-working families, for vibrant communities and the resilient individuals who call this borough home in support of this budget. But let's talk about the Green Party. Yes, the party that claims to be the champion of environment and social justice, but where are their ideas? Where is their alternate budget? They have offered us nothing but empty rhetoric, while our streets, our schools and our local services are crying out for continued Labour policies. It's time to face the facts. The Green Party is more concerned with playing the part of a middle-class elite than listening to the voices of our residents. How can they represent our diverse community when they don't understand the struggles that so many of you face every day? It's easy to work from home with your lattes and your Waitrose deliveries, much harder when you work 2 cleaning jobs to make ends meet. The Labour Party works for workers and won't punish struggling families, though admittedly, if we were to charge opposition councillors parking permits for the size of their egos, we could balance the budget every year. Our community is not a playground for political posturing. It's a place where families are trying to make ends meet. Yeah? In contrast, Labour is here fighting for you.
Councillor Brescia, I've been told that you're moving away from the budget. Could you go back to the budget, please?
Okay, thank you, Chair. As a Labour government and Labour council, we have achieved so much with our budgets. Removing the 2-child benefit cap, lifting 450,000 children out of poverty, bringing the renters' protections, outstanding children's services, making sure our libraries stay open, having one of the lowest council taxes in London, and a balanced budget with free school meals. Let's move forward with purpose, with passion, and with the commitment to our community. And I fully endorse this balanced Labour council budget.
Thank you very much. Okay, Councillor Zulfikar Ali, you have the right of reply. Should you wish to say anything further? Do you wish to say anything further? No, it's yes. You do want to? Okay, fine. Okay. You will have up to 3 minutes. If you could be less than that, I will be more happy.
Thank you, Chair. Let me thank all members who have contributed to this debate. Although I must say, having listened carefully, there was far more rhetoric than reality from the opposition benches. Chair, we heard comments about austerity. We heard that the budget is not responsible. But I won't waste my allocated time in responding, because as Councillor Griffith and Councillor Brescia have dealt with the issues in the nicest possible way. Thank you. Chair, we have a balanced budget without exceptional financial support. We have a stable medium-term financial position, and we have a council that is firmly in control of its finances. That is the reality, and no amount of political spin can change it. Speeches after speeches here, we hear the same thing from our opposition colleagues, the same rhetoric again. But we do not hear a credible plan. Tonight was a great opportunity for them to put forward how their proposal or their wish list could be funded and have a balanced budget. But unfortunately, some of them chose to leave the meeting to save the embarrassment. There is no alternative budget, there's no fully costed proposals, and there's no clear pathway to financial stability. And these things do matter. It's easy to be critical, but you do need to be responsible. And to say that this is not a responsible budget is completely irresponsible in my view. It is easy to stand on the sidelines and point out problems, but we need solutions. To balance the budget, to manage the risks, to make trade-offs, to deliver services with finite resources, that is what governing means. And Chair, governing is exactly what this administration has done. When we hear criticism, the question we must ask is simple. If this is what you are proposing, where is your balanced budget? Where is your alternative? Chair, all this is a commentary, not leadership. Now let us turn to facts. NEWM is not going bankrupt. NEWM is not reliant on emergency support. NEWM is not failing. NEWM is financially stable, operationally strong, and delivering to its residents. Let me be clear. We cannot run a council on wishful thinking. Public finances are not hypocritical. They require certainty, discipline, and responsibility. Residents deserve serious plans, not speculative promises. It is easy to make those promises, but it's hard to deliver. Chair, I will conclude by saying that this is a responsible budget, it's a resilience, it's rooted in Labour values. We've stabilized our finances, strengthened our reserves, protected our residents, and continue to invest in our future. all this is keeping the council in the lowest possible. With those words, Chair, I commend this budget to the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Ali. I'm going to now move to the vote. As set out in Council Procedure Rule 20.5, a recorded vote on the setting of the Council's budget and council tax must be undertaken. I'm going to ask the Interim Chief Executive to carry out the recorded vote. When the Interim Chief Executive calls out your name, when replying your vote, please state for, against, or abstain. Again, please speak up clearly so your vote is recorded correctly.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this is the second and final recorded vote of the evening on item 11, the budget setting report. And as the Chair just said, as I called out your name, if you could indicate for, against, or abstain, starting Chair with yourself, Councillor Dr. Rohit Dasgupta.
For.
Mayor Faiz.
For.
Councillor Shantu Firdos. Councillor Mohammed Ghani. Councillor Anam Islam. Councillor Alan Griffiths. Councillor Joy Laguda. Councillor Jane Lofthouse. Councillor Femi Falola. Councillor Canon Ann Easter. Councillor Liz Cronin. Councillor Carolyn Colburn. Councillor Syed Bashar. Councillor Jennifer Bailey. Councillor Aktharul Alam. Councillor Zulfikar Ali. Councillor Charlene McLean. Councillor Sarah Ruiz. Councillor Amar Singh Verdi. Councillor John Whitworth. Councillor Blossom Young. Councillor Mumtaz Khan. Councillor John Morris. Councillor Miraj Patel. Councillor Sabia Kamali. Councillor Steve Brayshaw. Councillor Lakmini Shah. Councillor Susan Masters. Councillor Lester Hudson. Councillor Nate Higgins. Councillor Ariq Chowdhury. Councillor Nur Begum. Councillor Anthony McAlmont. Councillor Shaban Mohammed. Councillor Thelma Udoy. Councillor Caroline Oladapo. Councillor Melanie Onovo. Councillor James Beckles. Councillor John Gray. Councillor Rachel Tripp. Councillor Madeline Sali Pontin. Councillor Larissa Gillis Barkia. Councillor Simon Rush. Councillor Rahima Rahman. Is there any councillor whose name I haven't called? That's the end of the recorded vote, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll wait for the final results. Yeah. Okay. So that's 41 in favor, 2 against, and no abstentions. So this is carried. Thank you very much. I will now move to item 12, which is the political proportionality and review of the allocation of seats on committees and other related matters. This report is outlined from page 73 on the main agenda. As chair, I will move the report. It's as is published. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Sabia Kamali. We now move to the debate, as it is a report for approval. Does anyone wish to speak? That's brilliant. So the recommendations are outlined on page 73 for your approval. All those in favor of the recommendations, could you please raise your hands? Which is, I think, everyone. Anyone against? Any abstentions? So the report and the recommendations have been agreed. I am going to now move to item 13, which is appointment of interim section 151 officer and corporate director of resources. This report is outlined on page 79 of your agenda. Again, as chair, I'm going to move this report. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ali. I have nothing to say other than the fact that it's as published. This report is noting. However, does anyone wish to speak? Nope. So thank you for that. Is this report noted? Noted. Thank you very much. I will now move on to item 14. Any urgent business? I have not been advised of any urgent business. Is there any urgent business?
Nope.
No? Okay, brilliant. I will then move to the next item, which is close of the meeting. Yay. The next meeting of council, hold on, I haven't finished. The next meeting of the council is Monday, 23rd of March, 2026. Thank you everyone for attending and watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the evening that is left. I now declare this meeting closed.